The following is a recording of a live questions and answers session with Chris McCann that took place on Friday, February 27th, 2015.
Hello and welcome in to EBible Fellowship Questions and Answers Time, where you can interact with us with your questions and comments related to the Bible, and we'll try to respond as well as possible by going to the Bible. And so, with our Bibles at the ready, it's now time to turn things over to our speaker, Chris McCann. Good evening, Chris.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to EBible Fellowship's Friday night question and answer program. Tonight, we're going to take a look at the Bible with any questions or comments that anyone may have, and each person is invited to share what's ever on your mind by contacting us in one of the ways that were just mentioned, and we'll be glad to take your question or your comment, and I'll try to respond as much as possible by going to the Bible, God's holy word. Well, we only have a short time together, so we're going to begin by going to the first person on the phone. Welcome to our Friday night question and answer program. Please go ahead with your call.
Hello, Chris. Could you please read 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 4 to 7, and Galatians 6, verses 2?
1 Corinthians 13, beginning in verse 4. Charity suffereth long and is kind. Charity envieth not. Charity vaunteth not itself, is not puffed up, doth not behave itself unseemly, seeketh not her own, is not easily provoked, thinketh no evil, rejoiceth not in iniquity, but rejoiceth in the truth, beareth all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things, endureth all things. And then in Galatians chapter 6, verse 2.
Yes.
Okay, it says, bear ye one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ.
Do the gift of the love of God for his elect help us to bear all things?
Well, charity is love, and love is God. The Bible says God is love. So really, charity is God, or it is Christ. And so Christ suffers long and is kind. Christ envies not. Christ vaunteth not himself, is not puffed up, does not behave himself unseemly, seeketh not, well, it's in the feminine here, but it's still referring to Christ, seeketh not her own, is not easily provoked, thinketh no evil, and rejoiceth not in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth, and so on. Christ beareth all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things, endureth all things. Just as in Hebrews 11, remember when God goes into a long discussion on faith, and he speaks of many of the saints of old who by faith did this, and by faith they did that. And faith also is God. It is Christ. And so it was by Christ or through Christ that the people of old did those things. And it's the same with love. Love is an attribute of God. It is the essence of God. And so Christ is really who we're reading about in 1 Corinthians 13.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for calling and sharing. And let's go to the next person on the phone. Welcome to our question and answer program. Please go ahead with your call.
Hi, Chris. I had an opportunity to listen to two of the interviews that you did this week. One of them was pretty rude, and they didn't let you talked over you pretty much. And the other one was, they let you talk, and that was pretty good. I was just wondering how the other ones went, and
thanks for asking. We were scheduled for seven interviews. One canceled because a host was sick. And so there were 6. Actually, it was all supposed to be on Tuesday, the 24th, but we had to reschedule one for Wednesday. So we had 5 on Tuesday and 1 on Wednesday. The one you probably heard was the very first one. It was it was the one where it's kind of like going back into the water, and it's icy cold, and you kind of put your feet in. Well, that was the first one that I've done since before May 21, 2011. And I'm kind of glad it was like that, because there was nowhere to go but up. That was pretty difficult. And all the other interviews went much better. Every other one was much better than that one. There was one in Tampa, Florida, where the host gave me a good amount of time to speak and to go over a lot of things. There was another one in Texas, in Dallas, Texas, with a host who, it was some kind of spiritual radio show, and she actually asked me questions, and then there was just like silence from her, and I was able to lay out the biblical calendar of history, actually to go into pretty good detail about the biblical calendar of history and how that relates to the Great Tribulation and this coming October 7th. And then there was one in San Diego that went pretty well, and one in New Haven, Connecticut. Again, the one in New Haven, Connecticut was the one that was rescheduled for Wednesday. It was recorded, and he started it off by saying that they had been getting contacted from people as far away as Canada regarding the interview. So it must be some people on Facebook or something, but they were, I think that kind of gave him some interest in doing the interview, that people were contacting them from a distance. So 5 out of 6. I don't know what that batting average is, but 5 out of 6 went pretty well. And actually, when we have an opportunity to share these things, even on that first one, it's always a good thing. We were able to mention the time we're living in, able to mention the website and things like that. So we really can't go wrong.
So were they all recorded?
I know 2 were recorded, and I know 3 were live. I'm not sure about that one in Dallas. It just seemed very quiet in the background. I kind of suspect that was recorded. One.
No, I mean, did your friend record all of them?
Well, we have, I think 3 of the interviews in the Dropbox, and we're waiting for EBibleFellowship.com to post it. But I think we will have a recording of all. We're deleting the first one. No sense. There's not too much there to offer, so we're deleting that. And Lord willing, if possible, we'll try to upload the rest onto one of the websites. We'll see if EBible Fellowship can get it up. But thank you for calling and sharing. Let's go to the next person on the phone. Welcome to our Friday night question and answer program. Please go ahead with your call.
Well, thank you to the man that just called in. I stayed up Monday to pray for you, and I'm not digital enough to figure out how to do it. And if your friend recorded them, if there's a way that we just click where we can listen, so that I don't know what the Dropbox is and things like that. But were they responsive? Was anyone allowed to call in and ask questions?
Only on one program did they have callers that I was able to respond to. I think maybe on 1 or 2 after I got off, they had callers. but on the Jay Thomas show on Sirius XM satellite radio that it goes nationwide, and it's a subscription service. They had callers call in from different states. And I remember somebody from Pennsylvania and somebody from Michigan called in. It was nice when the host or a caller would bring up things like no man knows. And now we can answer that very easily. And one host did say that. Doesn't the Bible say no man knows a day or hour? And now we understand clearly that what God means is no man has experienced it when he said that. Not the angels, they had not yet experienced it. Not Christ had not yet gone to the cross as the Son of Man. And no man had experienced the official day of judgment. So it was quite effective when people would bring that kind of thing up, to just say it doesn't mean you can't know intellectually, but it means experience, that nobody has experienced it. And then that sort of removes, that point of resistance that so many people quickly go to now, and it opens up more conversation.
And did they take us seriously? I mean, or was...
Oh, well, the hosts, these are radio hosts, and overall, on the programs we were on rock stations, it's entertainment talk shows or things like that, except for the one spiritual show, classic rock, and they're trying to entertain their audience. And so their mindset pretty much is one of mocking. That the first one was completely like that. But as with the rest, I can only think that God he held back probably a lot of that kind of talk from the hosts. He sort of held that off after that first one, and they asked questions, and I was able to answer in some detail to the questions. I know one host kept saying that the door is shut. He kept saying, then there's no hope for me because the door is shut on May 21, 2011. Then he would say things like, actually, I don't think there's any hope for me or for anybody I know because the door is shut. He kept repeating it. The date, October 7th, kept being repeated as well by the host. So the message was gotten out in a clear way, I think.
Wow. You dear man, how very brave. I hope it went okay. I hope you're okay. Thank you.
Well, thank you for your prayers and everyone for their prayers. My expectation was what happened on that first show. I was expecting all of them to be like that, and yet they weren't. So God gave us another opportunity to reach a good number of people, and Lord willing, we're going to continue. We have a friend that has worked in the radio business for quite a while, who knows people who can set these kinds of interviews up, and we're going to continue in due time trying to set up another slate of interviews, and we're also investigating through this professional service. We're investigating setting up radio interviews in Canada and in Europe. Now, the individual who set up these interviews does have contacts in Canada, so we think we'll be able to do that. He has none in Europe, but he's interested in exploring that, I think, as far as his own business goes. And we're also going to look into South America. We have a faithful man in Argentina who has basically developed an EBible Spanish radio station. He's translated or used translations of many of eBible's programs, and he has a 24-hour Spanish eBible station going, and he is somebody that we may try to arrange interviews for if we're able to do that in South America. But thank you for calling and sharing. And let's go to the next person on the phone. Welcome to our question and answer program. Please go ahead with your call.
Yes, Chris. I get on my email from one of the fellows that works with you, and he sends me all your studies and everything, and he sent me those two interviews, and I thought they were good in the respect that they really show how mankind is just blind. Like the one guy was saying, well, there's no hope for me. I didn't. It was kind of funny in a way, if you ask me, but they were sincere. I like that they got EBibleFellowship.com in there. You did. If you did that right away, that you let them know where the EBible Fellowship right away, that might be nice, because it wasn't right away on those two. But anyway, thought it was great, and thanks for doing that. And the thing about no man can know, you really explained that real clear, and that made it clear with me too. So thanks a lot for doing that. That you don't experience it until it happens, and that's what we're doing right now. I wanted to ask you on the Mexico outreach to Mexico City. Is that doing okay?
Well, yes. Thank you for bringing that up, and we do want to continue praying for the team. They're in Mexico City right now. They arrived all safe yesterday, and they had a little trouble at the airport just in meeting up, but that worked out, and they all made it to the hotel. They had their first day of tract distribution today, and I haven't heard from them. So at this point, we have nothing to report as far as how the day went. But we really should keep them in prayer, because anyone who's gone on a tract trip would understand that a tract trip by itself is a time of being tested for the individual who goes, because you're working in the gospel from the beginning of the day to the end of the day, and it's not an easy thing. It is hard work, and it's just a time where God typically has tested people on those kinds of trips. So when we add a trying tract trip in the best of times, in the day of salvation, people were tested on tract trips. But yet when we add the fact we're living in the day of judgment, a time of severe testing for the people of God, we really need to pray for these 8 souls. They're not on the ark, they're in Mexico City, but these 8 souls that are giving of themselves to serve the Lord this way, that we can pray for them, that the Lord might help and protect them and give them wisdom and direction. There's so many things we can pray for. Their safety, wisdom in which way to go, what street to set up on, who to talk with, who not to talk with, who to avoid a conversation with. They have backpack signs, some of them, and we can pray that those signs would be effective, that the tracts would be multiplied like the Lord multiplied the bread, and so forth. And so thank you very much for bringing that up. We need to keep this team in prayer. They're going to be there. This is longer than a weekend. They're going to be there. I think they have 5 full days of tract distribution, and then they should be coming back next Wednesday. So please pray.
But praise God. God is sure revealing And thank God that he's just filling you up, and you're giving it out as you can. And thanks a lot. I wish that gentleman that does send all those emails to me, all your sermons and so on and teachings, I don't know, is he on EBible too, or that a person?
Well, is that from Rich? Is the person's name Rich who sends you that?
Well, yeah.
Did you get it from Rich? The interviews.
Well, I got it from. It starts out with RB something.
Yeah, that's Rich. Okay, good.
I didn't know.
Then let me just say, to anyone who's interested in hearing the interviews, if you want to be put on a mailing list, which Rich sends out the studies normally, he has a couple of the interviews. And if you give us your emails, you can send your email address to ebiblefellowship@juno.com, and I'll forward it to Rich, and he can send you the interviews and put you on that list if anybody's interested. But thank you.
Oh,
thank you
very
for
good.
calling and sharing. And let's go to the next person on the phone. Welcome to our Friday night question and answer program. Please go ahead with your call.
Yes, good evening, Chris, everybody. The Feast of Tabernacles, the last day is called the travel day, the ninth day. Is the last day of the Feast of Harvest, is that a named day at all?
Well, it's the same day because the Feast of Ingathering, which is the completion of the Feast of Harvest, at the end of the year, the Bible says, it is held in conjunction with the Feast of Tabernacles. They both start on the 15th day of the Hebrew seventh month. They both have a 7-day period. They both have an 8th day, and therefore they both would share that 9th day that God views as the 8th day. And the layout of the two feasts are identical. God does not refer to, when we read of that extra day in 2 Chronicles in relationship to the dedication of the temple and the Feast of Tabernacles that was being held. And so it's spoken of in the context of the Feast of Tabernacles. I don't think it's the Feast of Ingathering is mentioned where we discover that there is that 9th day, which would be the 23rd day of the 7th month.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for calling and sharing. And let's go to the next person on the phone. Welcome to our Friday night question and answer program. Please go ahead with your call.
Yeah, good evening. I guess it's late evening there in Pennsylvania. I'm in California. If you can go to Genesis 2 and 3.
Okay, Genesis chapter 2 and verse 2 and 3. And on the 7th day, God ended his work which he had made, and he rested on the 7th day from all his work which he had made. And God blessed the 7th day and sanctified it, because that in it he had rested from all his work which God created and made.
October 7th of 2015 is the last day of harvest, and it's the last day of the Feast of Tabernacles, the 10,000th day, and it figures in as you've learned that it figures in the number 4 shown in the 1600 days is 4 years, 4 months, and 4 days.
It's 16 days, which is 4 times 4.
And then it's actually the 4th day of the week.
Right.
But I just had a simple question tonight. Basically, it turns out that also that, of course, and you've probably already thought about it, it's also the 7th day, the 7th, which is October 7th, of course. And of course, God could have chosen another day if it was in his plan, but if this will be the day, it happens to be the 7th. So I know that 7 is points to perfection in different parts of the Bible. It has God's perfection.
Well,
that's basically all my.
yeah, thank you for your question. I haven't really thought about it being October 7th, the 7th day of the month of October. I don't know if that's significant. We know in the Hebrew calendar, it's the 23rd day of the 7th month. So in that calendar, it's not the 7th day, but it is the 7th month. No, I haven't spent any time thinking about the day of the month.
Right.
The number 7
I haven't
does point
either.
to perfection. And God, when he said to Noah, yet 7 days, and I'll bring the flood, well, that was spoken on the 10th day of the Hebrew second month, or of Noah's calendar, the 10th day of Noah's second month. And then 7 days later, historically, he brought the flood. And at the same time, 7,000 years from 4990, as 2 Peter 3 tells us, one day is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as one day. 7,000 years later brought us to 2011, and May 21, 2011 had the underlying Hebrew calendar date of the 17th day of the second month, which matched up exactly with the 17th day of Noah's second month when the flood began. So when we look at May 21, 2011, it wasn't the month of May, or it wasn't the 21st day of May that was significant, even though 21 can be broken down to 3 times 7. But I think it's probably best we stay away from that, of trying to break down the Gregorian calendar date, and just try to find the emphasis in the Hebrew calendar, or a Bible calendar, like the 17th day of the second month, or the 23rd day of the 7th month, which October 7th, 2015 is. Those dates have special significance because they relate to the Bible. But of course, the Bible doesn't talk about May or October or our Gregorian calendar months. But thank you for calling and sharing. And if anyone else has a question or a comment, Bill Burton wrote me and said 3 of the interviews should be posted on the website later tonight. Bill said he'll put the 3 interviews after tonight's question and answer. So Lord willing, the interviews should be up on the website later this evening. If anybody is interested in checking that out, maybe check back later tonight or tomorrow morning, and you should see them up there. Okay, well, thank you all for joining with us, and thank you for sharing your questions and your comments. We have come to the end of our time tonight. Lord willing, we'll get together again this coming Sunday afternoon in our online fellowship. We'll have another question and answer program during that time. But for now, I'll say good night, and may the Lord's perfect will be done.
And thanks for joining us again for EBible Fellowship's Questions and Answers Time with your speaker, Chris McCann. You can join us for these questions and answers sessions Sunday afternoon following Sunday studies, and Monday and Friday evenings following the Monday and Friday evening studies. Until next time, may the Lord's perfect will be done.